Forgive members, it's just the master program will be overscheduling the classes. And should I do that now?
Okay, it's 4:33 and I think we should start. And this is, my name is Rebecca Eden. I am the chair of the LSC, and this is a special meeting. So we have special rules. If you'd like to speak, we need you to be in the first row, just so that's not disruptive to get to the microphone. And we would like you to introduce yourself. We ask that you are cognizant of confidentiality and try not to name names if you can, and be respectful. And then we have a 2-minute warrant. We have a 2-minute time, and somebody will be a timer and it'll beep, and that's your cue to stop. Okay. We just want to take roll call real quick and then we can start. Alexa. Lee. Alicia. Peter.
Ted Smith here.
Hello, can you hear me okay? Hi, my name is Tara Donnelly. I am the CTU delegate here at Lincoln Park High School. I am also an English and special ed teacher. I have been at Lincoln Park High School for 10 years and I've been teaching for over 20 years. And I wanted to speak to some of our challenges today. We have at over 90 sections of extremely oversized classes to start off the school year, and that violates the CTU contract. So that is a grave concern. I believe that not enough positions were budgeted for the needs of the school to start off the school year. This has caused many challenges, and I want to outline some of those that I have dealt with and that I've been hearing about from the teachers and staff. Some of these classes are dangerously overcrowded. They are too big for the fire codes. There are crowded conditions within the classrooms. Some students do not have seats to sit on. There is, in some cases, no place to work. An overcrowded art classroom, you have someone sitting right next to you, you cannot lay out your art to do the work. Science classes are crowded. There's not enough stations for the amount of students. And this is also a dangerous situation. These overcrowded classes and the disruption of changing students in and out of different sections causes a disruptive environment. Students are upset. Students who are most prone to behavior issues are having extreme difficulty with this. I've had this experience myself already, a week and a half of school. This is going to affect them the whole year. A freshman coming in with behavior challenge who's had to change classes a number of times, not really understanding why, they're going to have trouble the whole year. I think a really important issue that I want to speak to that perhaps hasn't been talked about in relation to this is the frustration of the teachers and staff. Teachers spent all last year warning the administration and trying to help, problem solve, and do whatever they could so that this situation would not occur. Teachers are not feeling listened to or respected, not just a little bit, but to an extreme degree. Numerous teachers ready to quit, to literally leave a very good job at a good school because they are so frustrated with this situation and feel so disrespected. Teachers are not in control of this, yet we have to deal with the outcome of it. The Oversized Class Relief Committee is something that's been mentioned as a possible solution for this, but it is not. The Oversized Class Relief Committee was something that was negotiated by the union in the last contract, and it was not meant to deal with situations of this magnitude. The Oversized Class Relief Committee was meant to plug holes. It was not meant to build the dam from the ground up. Teachers have been trying to help. They've been willing to spend their own time to try and problem solve these scheduling issues that they did not create. I would like to ask, who is advocating for LP downtown? If the budget does not support the programming at LP, what is being done to communicate and advocate this with CPS downtown? Why is it that teachers are given the burden of dealing with this for weeks, overcrowded classes, and it is something that they have no control over? I cannot emphasize enough how discouraged and disrespected the teachers feel. The reason that the school has functioned and run in a somewhat smooth manner is because of the hard work of the teachers and staff, and it is in spite of the situation that they are put in through no fault of their own. The level of dysfunction with this schedule is not usual or normal, and it should not be accepted or excused. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? All right. So, hi, I'm Jason Hashimoto. I'm a current senior at Lincoln Park. And as one of the only students that came up to speak, I just wanted to really give my input on how I feel like we're being impacted as a student. I feel like my frustration really is that I'm a part of the IB diploma program. And ever since the end of last year, of junior year, we've had stuff that we need to do because diploma kids have a lot of things they need to do to get their diploma that we started working on over the summer. And so coming back, when this schedule, I didn't have an English class. I didn't have an English class last year and I didn't have one this year. I only got my English class at like the very end of last week. And I feel as if having a messed up schedule for someone like the diploma kids, I talk to a lot of people about this, is just not something that we can really do. Because for such an important program to the school like IB, I feel like the schedules really need to be like there by the time we get back, because we can't jump into internal assessments and getting ready for books and doing all these reviews for college essays and things when we're constantly getting switched around. Literally just today, my English class got switched from one teacher to another. And it's just this isn't something that is just this year. It's been pretty much every year since I've been here that I've had a problem with my scheduling. And it's not just me. I've talked to a lot of people. I have a lot of friends, some even here right now, that I know have had constant, scheduling issues. And whenever we try to reach out to get them fixed, it's either shoved off to the side, it's kind of just dragged along, or there has to be some other person to intervene, like our parents, in order for these issues to get solved. And really, I just, not just for myself, but for the people that are coming in after me, I really just don't want them to have to go through this process of having to get things like an English class on their schedule for the first week. It's just a frustrating process that I feel like all of us are really going through. And I understand that times have been difficult, clearly, but we really have to find a way to, communicate better with each other both from the administration to the students, the administration to the teachers, in every direction. Because really communication is just like not working right now. Communication is really strained. And I think that's one of the main issues as to why these things are going on for so long and why there's so much messed up. We're not really being communicated with. And I just want to know what's going on. That's really all I have to say about this. And I want to thank, the committee for their time. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, mine's short. No problem. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for convening this special meeting. My name is Amy Smith. I'm a computer science teacher here at the school. I've been at Lincoln Park. Somebody informed me this is start my 20th year. I have been teaching for 30. And I'm a real big component of what the communication is at our school and being able to tell our students about the events that are going on. I expressed this concern, or during our planning, we were told that there would be a school calendar that the teachers could find the events on, upcoming pep rallies, week of homecoming, and other events for the month of September are not posted there. When I expressed this concern to the administration, I was told to check the school website. Those events aren't posted there either. We're not getting the information to be able to share with our students so they can fully take advantage of the high school experience that Lincoln Park can offer. And that needs to be fixed soon so that we can know and adjust our schedules once they do get fixed to accommodate these special events that an administration is already planning. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bill Chislovsky. I'm a parent of a senior here, a recent graduate, IB graduate. So I guess 2 kids in the school, and I'm a former LSC member, just like you all are. I applaud you, the LSC, for having this meeting on September 1st, 2 weeks into school, as opposed to waiting, because there's always lots of excuses, first week issues, etc. So I sincerely applaud you for having this meeting. Now, listening is great. Gathering more and more data is great. But at a certain point, you need to act. I don't think you collectively lack information. So, and I also understand as a former LSC member, your powers as a formal matter are frankly pretty limited. Pretty limited. But your informal powers, and the reason, again, to your credit, you are having this meeting is because your informal powers are only limited by your creativity. So it's not for me to go through a laundry list of what's already happened in 2 weeks. As just one parent listening at my own dinner table. And I sent a letter to the LSC, it's not about being dramatic, of for the 3rd year in a row, we couldn't timely distribute schedules. Students don't have lockers, at least as far as I understand, except for freshmen still. ID's not distributed. I didn't survey the other 80 or so CPS high schools. I surveyed our peer high schools. None of them have those issues. So this is not a CPS dysfunction issue. We always like to say CPS. This is not a CPS dysfunction issue. This is a Lincoln Park High School dysfunction issue. So, and the one thing I do, and it's not to grandstand, that bothered me most. I'm also the parent of a football player at Lincoln Park High School. The football team forfeited its first game. The reasons why don't really matter too much, whatever the excuse or finger pointing is or who didn't do what. What bothered me most, and I'm saying it publicly, is the letter you, Principal Steinmiller, sent to the football families, where the first sentence said you were surprised that we had to forfeit, and you effectively blamed the coach and the players for forfeiting our first game. That to me is a bigger sin than whatever the reasons were for the forfeit. That is inexcusable to me. That is not leadership to me. So I end where I started, which is your powers are limited. To your credit, you're having this meeting. I mean, you could keep gathering more and more data, or you can take action. It is time to take action. Thank you.
Hi. I'm going to be brief as well. My name is Elizabeth Drake. I'm coming. Oh, here we go. All right. I'm not used to having a mic. I'm loud enough as it is. All right. So I'm Elizabeth Drake. Thank you all right, for being here and giving me the opportunity to speak. I'm going to be short. Much like Amy Smith, I have been here as a visual art teacher for 22 years. I have been the department chair for years past, no years, and then currently the visual art department chair again. Visual art programming is very tricky in terms of programming. And we are now dealing with a third year of very difficult, very frustrating situation. Because we have had issues with visual art all of the years that I have been here in some way, shape, or form. Okay. I want to echo what Tara Donnelly said about teachers being frustrated, upset, feeling disrespected, not listened to, because I have felt that way for the last few years. I'm hoping that's not the case going forward. We are going to lose good teachers. And I have somebody who is, there are people who are sitting and hunting right now. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Helen Tolmers, and I'm a junior in the IBDP program. Last spring, everyone met with their counselor to create their schedule, and it was confirmed that orchestra was my #1 elective, and as it has been for the past few years. A day and a half before school starts, we all get our schedule, along with the fact that orchestra was not in my schedule. I have played the violin since I was 3 years old, and being a part of the Lincoln Park Chamber Orchestra is something that's very important to me. After looking into this further, I was alarmed by the fact that I was unable to take my higher level math class along with chamber orchestra. It's very frustrating to me because at the end of last year, we were all making plans about what we were going to do this year in orchestra, like repertoire, or just like what the class dynamic was going to be like. And it's very frustrating to not have that. It's also frustrating that I had to choose between something that's a graduation requirement versus something that I'm very passionate about. And the fact that I can't take both I was just very shocked. I'm hoping that next year it is a priority that everyone gets their #1 elective, because it's frustrating when you aren't able to take it. Thank you.
Hi. Hello, I'm Mia Riley. I'm also an junior in the IBDP program this year. And luckily, I personally didn't have to give up any of my chosen classes, but I was still majorly impacted by the scheduling issues. I originally expected to get my schedule at the back to school bash on the 18th, and I was very upset when I didn't receive it until the evening of the 20th. And when I first got my schedule, I was missing a class. I had no first period, and I had a free period 9th, and I didn't have my choir class, even though I signed the PE waiver and everything was good to go. But luckily, with the help of my counselor, Mr. Merle, who's amazing, as well as Miss Gosler and Miss Kaler, neither of which I'm not in any of their classes. They're just really great people. I was able to have my schedule corrected by the end of the week. And overall, my teachers were very, very supportive of my scheduling issues. However, I, as well as many of the other students, lost valuable time, making it much more stressful for me and causing unnecessary complications for teachers. I think it's just so extremely important to avoid this from happening in the future, as students should not have to choose between classes at the last minute or deal with chaotic schedule changes. There's already enough to be stressed out about. And I was also asked to share by one of the other students who couldn't make it today. My name is Lena Harb, and I am a DP senior at LP. As a senior in the IB program, I was expected to replace my normal elective, band, with an additional IB course. And because I did not want to drop band, I agreed last year to give up my lunch period. I knew a few seniors last year who did this, so I knew it was possible. However, after not having both English and psychology for the first 6 days of school, my schedule is currently not what I asked for. I am not in IB psychology, which was my initial request. So now I am taking the independent study of IB music since no other electives can fit in my schedule. In order to fit English, my only viable option was to do an independent study of my language class, Arabic. Thankfully, I am still in band, but I had to give up a lot for it, and I am taking on 2 independent study courses. Thank you.
Hello, my name is David Coddins, 15 years in CPS, 10 here at Lincoln Park High School. I had no intention of speaking until like 5 minutes ago, so it's very disorganized. For one, we cannot continue to expect to see great results in the spring if we continually see bad starts to every school year. That goes with academic, behavioral, all sorts of these things cause chain reactions that make issues that we run into in April and May link back to some sort of weak start in the classroom, in the hallways, or just logistically for the entire school. Excuses about losing a programming position in the middle of the summer are kind of inexcusable, in my opinion, because we deserve to understand what kinds of checkpoints the administration had along the building of that matrix throughout the summer. What percentage of the completion of that schedule was done at the end of the school year, or at the end of July, or when that person left? There seems to be very little overseeing and management from a leadership standpoint as far as making sure that progress from other people's roles are being met, because they're just like continually scrambling to figure out their own roles. The class size issues dictated by the board are one thing entirely, but the realities of the day-to-day with so many kids in a classroom includes a lot of difficulties that a labor contract or an Excel spreadsheet will not illustrate. There's so much I can elaborate on that, but I'll continue. We definitely need to see better communication. Sending out emails are not communication if they're not being effective. Teachers teach something. If the students don't learn it, then the teacher is required to go back and find a better way of doing it. If people are not being communicated with effectively, then we need different communication, better communication. Kids are told this week that they can't go out for off-campus lunch. There's kids off campus all over the place. Teachers don't know about upcoming events. Multiple colleagues have already highlighted that. A football team doesn't even know if they're eligible or not. These are a ridiculous amount of communication examples that are just flat out failing. And finally, I feel like this administration is not results oriented. They don't want to come up with solutions. They want to just deflect the blame or find excuses. The ones finding solutions are usually the teachers, the counselors, the parents who need to get involved, and that's just not leadership.
Hi, I'm Amelia Taylor Blasey, and I'm a senior IB student. Well, basically, my classmate over here was talking about the schedule issues, but I think there's like a big administration issue between IB students and IB teachers, like that there's not a good communication issue. And I want to talk about this because it's like me personally, I feel like the IB program is going down and people aren't taking it as seriously. And I feel like it's not just the IB. There's like a lot of AP and honors programs who also feel like they're not being taken seriously. But I remember like sophomore year was the year of COVID, and it was really hard on all of us. But the only thing that was getting me through the IB diploma program was my teachers. And I feel like this year as well, it's my teachers who are getting me through the IB program. I know so many people who dropped out junior year because they did not feel supported by this administration. And people are talking about teachers planning on leaving, but we already have good teachers who left. And it makes it harder. And it makes it harder on the other teachers who are here and to organize for next year when the administration is not organized for next year. Well, I personally, what I've seen so far is that there is a big, number, like difference between numbers in class. One of my teachers one class has 25 students and the other has 8, which is really bad because that class relies on people being in groups and working as a team. And if people are being moved around, it's hard to finish work. It's hard to finish homework, and it's hard to like do anything in that class. Going back to the teachers, and like they supported me, and hearing them talk about the fact that they don't feel supported by the administration. Oops. Okay, sorry. Talking like going into class and hearing my teachers talk about the fact that they have to memorize, relearn, and memorize names and go over lessons they already did so new students can keep up is just really not helping my mental health, and it's definitely not helping their mental health. And the only thing that, again, that kept me going was the support of the teachers. But if the teachers don't feel support from the administration, then I don't feel support from the administration. And I just hope you know that, like, as students, we really care about our teachers and they really help us. So thank you.
So, hi, I'm Scott Swarchowski. I'm a civics and psychology teacher at Lincoln Park High School. For those of you in the audience and on Zoom, we have currently, as of yesterday morning, when was the last time that I was able to pull oversized classes, including since Dr. Steinmeier hasn't responded to an email from a teacher request asking for the list of oversized classes yet since then. This is the most recent numbers that we have, 218 oversized classes, which is 34% of our classes. So if we're talking about numbers, you guys will hear a lot this evening. This is not a fluke. This is not close to being solved. When we talk about an oversized class, it's not just an issue of it's too hard to teach. It is illegal. Our contract is Illinois law, and it is illegal to have classes this size. We have 35 teachers out of 136 teachers right now that have an oversized class load. Per our contract, you have to multiply the number of classes you have by the maximum allowed number of students in that class. That's your maximum load. So you can have some classes that are higher, some classes that are lower, but you can't max out. So for a regular classroom, that's 140. We have 3 teachers in this school that have over 200 students in their class load. 5 classes, over 200 students on their load. Can you imagine trying to call a parent? Can you imagine trying to know a kid's name before the first month is over when you have 200 students? Can you imagine how long it's going to take to do attendance when you have 200 students in a day? So try to imagine the quality of instruction when that's happening. So not only is this unfair, not only is this crappy that we're here, it is illegal and it needs to be fixed. Tara has already spoken, but my biggest gripe here is that if you remember back to April, there was an incredibly long meeting. Some of you were there, some of you were new, many of you were audience members. In that incredibly long budget meeting in April, teachers were there. Sandy was representing us, and we had said that this would happen. We said if you cut 2 teacher positions and you focus on alleviating AP roles and pushing them into a period relief for teachers, and you're asking for to have these non-instructional roles imbued into our school, then we will have oversized classes. If you take out 2 teachers and you replace them, you're going to have oversized classes. Dr. Steinmiller told us that we would have fewer students in our school next year projected. However, we have more students than we had last year currently. More students, fewer teachers, we have massive classes. So it's untenable. It's an issue that our budget priorities has created this. But beyond that, we told you this was going to happen. In April, the members of the local school council told teachers, we understand, we hear you, and we are going to watch Dr. Steinmiller to make sure that this will not happen. We're going to make sure that we value Brandy Campbell and make sure she stays because we need her. Here we are. Brandy Campbell has not been valued. She has not been paid for her work. She has not been pushed to a place where she says, this is where I want to be. She quit. I would too. If I'm not being paid for my labor, if I am not valued in my workplace, I would also quit. On top of that, I see nothing from the local school council holding Dr. Steinmiller's feet to the fire until the second week of school, when we should have had schedules back in the middle of summer. So I am looking at all of you to make sure that you hold to your promise. Whether or not you were on the local school council in April, it is your promise to hold Dr. Steinmiller to his promises that we will not have oversized classes, that we will have quality instruction, and that this will be a good place for learning. Right now, it's none of that. Thank you.
I have a question. Can you tell me what the average load is for a teacher?
If I grab my computer.
Okay.
All right, forgive me because I didn't have a plan for exactly what I was going to say, and I didn't plan on speaking when I came up, when I came down here. But I want to speak to the issues with DL students. I teach 3 sections of co-taught. I have been a co-teacher for a very long time. I've been the person who does that for years at the school. And a thing that has been deeply upsetting to me is seeing that every single one of my students with IEPs, and I know that Ms. Geekus, and I know that the caseload director, that Wagner, worked hard this summer to make sure that everybody was scheduled. But when the school year started, they were not scheduled for the vast majority of their classes. The majority. Like, I asked one student after the other. My former students that I had with IEPs, students who, like, legally we are required to make sure that these kids are getting all the services, and they weren't. I had one student, one of my babies, who came up to me, a student who struggles with reading and is one of my darlings, and he comes up and he said, I have 2 classes right now scheduled for this week, and I have nowhere to be for the first 3 periods of my day. And he was like, can I just sit in your class while I wait to find out where I'm going to be? I talked to as many students as I could who are my students, and I had the same conversation over and over again. I had the same conversation when I looked at the rosters, when I looked at my co-taught class, there were no IEP kids in my co-taught classes, 3 of them. I think we had 1 or 2 scheduled into that class at the beginning of the year. And this creates a serious issue because it creates the issue of you are scrambling to throw them into classes last minute, and then you have to reshuffle all of the other students who don't have IEPs and don't have, because you have to have a certain percentage of students in each class. So this creates a ripple effect where, yes, you are then continuing to shuffle and shuffle and shuffle, and it is unacceptable to be harming our DL students like that. That's it.
If I'm to do the math and exclude like cluster teachers who have like 8 people in it and part-time teachers, it's like 135. So like if we take a regular class, which we kept at 28 times 5, 140. So right around.
That's right now. Yeah. Yeah, I think, Mr. Hardesty, can you announce that he or she can speak?
Yes, Eric, if you're there, Eric's iPhone, please speak.
Mr. Hardesty, can you unmute him?
He should be able to speak. Let me try promoting. I'm sorry, there's some sort of technical issue. I can't seem to get him to respond. Dr. Steinmiller, I made you a co-host. Can you try? Is there else in the Zoom audience that would like to speak? Please raise your hand. There's a few more. Let's try somebody else. Matt Leo.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Matt Leo. I've been at Lincoln Park High School for 8 years. I'm a member of the PPLC and a member of the Social Studies Department. I just wanted to talk a little bit more about what Scott Z brought up regarding release periods. For the last year, the PPLC has pretty diligently pointed out that if you release teachers from one period a day, there is going to be an impact on scheduling and programming. Despite that, we were told multiple times and reassured by Dr. Steinmiller that there would be no effect, and that by putting those teachers into roles where they'd be supporting the school or building structures that would support the school, it would be to the greater benefit of the school community. Unfortunately, I mean, we're all here today now, sitting here, and I look at the social studies department, and there's 8 teachers with over 150 students on their course load. And then there are teachers with release periods that have course loads under 110, some under 100. And so all I can say is our first priority as a school, our first priority is to make sure that students are comfortable, safe, and educated in their classrooms. And so regardless of anyone's ideas about building structures or best practices or whatever sort of institutional ideas about what is good to do in a school are out there at UIC or any other educational institution, I think we have to consider that our first priority is to make sure that the students are getting educated and they're doing so in a comfortable environment. And so I would just say that this is partially a self-inflicted wound. We have, I don't know, is it 11 or 12 teachers that have release periods? And that means they're not teaching a class. We have teachers that have left the social studies department. We never made up for their loss. We replaced one full-time position. The part-time position, three classes that she taught, was not replaced. And so I just want to underscore that point. This is not something that is attributable to a glitch. This is not something that is attributable to the absence of a programmer. At a certain point, we have to start saying, what's management's role in this? But again, I'm sorry if I'm speaking to you from Zoom. I'm sorry if this is coming across and my tone seems a little angry. I am a little angry, but I do want to thank you all for your time, and I want to thank you for having this meeting.
Does anybody else out there in Zoom land want to speak? Oh, hold on. Nope, they went away. What is this mic? Don't use that mic.
Okay. Hello. So you've said to us before to advocate to CPS for more. And what I'm hearing, I heard from Scott Z, we did make a very purposeful choice when we approved more positions for attendance coordinator, for the additional youth support intervention specialist, because we had been hearing from many for years that safety and security was first and foremost. And if we couldn't get the social and emotional needs of students met, that learning couldn't happen. And now I'm also hearing that because of that, we cut teacher positions, which is part of what, I'm not saying it's the only part. I recognize there was massive, missteps from management. But how can we as a community advocate to CPS that we need more dollars in our budget despite student-based budgeting? Because I feel like that's a losing battle, maybe. Maybe not, I don't know. But I know that there are other groups, raise your hand, that have been advocating this for years. So what can we as a school community do to come together to demand that CPS meets the needs of the school so it can function the way it needs to function, rather than robbing Peter to pay Paul, which is just what we're going to do, right? If we solve the teacher problem, we're going to have the problem of safety and security. If we deal with that problem, it seems like now we have the problem of not enough teachers. So I want to solve all the problems. So how do we, as a community, come together to say we need more and we demand more? And I know that there's a larger system here, but right now I want to work on what Lincoln Park can do for Lincoln Park.
Sorry, hang on.
Hello. All right. Thank you for the question. So my response would be, first and foremost, I think we can organize and you can organize. You all have a voice. You can use that voice. There are so many ways that you can use your voice. And if you need an example, I would like you to look at these students who use their voice. These are the students who came together in previous years to speak out against gun violence, to speak out against the treatment of Black Americans. And they have done that over and over and over again. Chicago has a very strong history of advocacy and organizing for social justice, and education dollars are part of social justice. CTU within this next organizing cycle is advocating to get rid of student-based budgeting because it is unfair. You can support that. You can support the union in that mission, and you can speak out in addition on your own behalf. So there's many different ways. I would say start with your voice. You can write a letter, you can make a phone call, you can show up. You know what? The school board meetings downtown, they happen during the day. You know what I'm doing during the day? I am teaching. I can't be there unless I take a day off. I have to take a personal day to go to the school board meeting downtown. But if you have time to do that, I highly suggest you do, and spend your time at public comment telling that board that you are going to hold their feet to the fire. So I think it's a great question. I think there's many opportunities for that, but that is your mission as the LSC. You can speak on your own behalf. I've been at LSC meetings where the LSC came together and wrote letters to the board to advocate for their school. You can do that too. So if you need inspiration, look to the students.
So then what I'd like to ask for those who are in the audience, who are non-LSC members, or those who are listening, who are non-LSC members, can you help us? We are a board of 12 people. We are, like all the teachers, we are stretched thin trying to help with the school. And I certainly feel like, as I know so many of you do, this is another thing we're being asked to do, right? So there's a parallel process. There's a process happening here. But hopefully, when there's turmoil, people are motivated to make change. And there's turmoil, yet again, at Lincoln Park. So I'm asking for anybody who's listening to please reach out to either Rebecca or through the LSC email if you want to work with this LSC to help us mobilize to demand more. And then that can be a committee of the LSC or whatever it is. But I think we're each on like 4 committees already. And that's not to say this isn't an important one. I believe it is. But how can we cohesively work together, maybe with students as well? So.
I just wanted to add on what Tara said, and clarify that while I think what you asked is a good question, Amy, it's been asked and answered in April. And in April, we had noted we still, in the first day of September, don't have a line-by-line budget. And Steinmiller promised that to us. We don't have a budget yet. We have big bucket funds that we said we don't know what's happening to this money. So it is the job of the LSC to have budget oversight. You do have that power. I think it's a false choice to say, and maybe it's coming from a place of misunderstanding, but I think it's a false choice to say it is either class size or these non-instructional teaching positions like the YIS. And you said attendance coordinator, I think you meant testing coordinator, which is fine. Just wanted to clarify. We have 2 positions that are miscellaneous that are appointed and paid for by CPS, but they're not attendance related. They're here for COVID. Yeah, the YIS positions, yes, which is great. We do need them, and the teachers were advocating for them. But what we did note in April is that the money that we see moving around for this, closing teacher positions, does not need to come from the YIS. It does not need to come from the safety and security. It is a false choice to make that dichotomy. Instead, that money could come up from a lot of other things, like Matt Leo said about having individual preps off for teachers. A lot of teachers have that, and a lot of those duties, like we mentioned in April, can be done by the administrative team, especially an administrative team that is supported enough to stay. I'm on my 15th administrator. One of them has seen me teach. I have had 1 review. This is my 6th year here. They're not doing what they should be doing in their roles. That is the job of the LSC, to make sure that the leadership of this school is being reviewed, to make sure that the budget is in alignment. We do not have info about the budget for you to do your jobs, and I'm sorry about that, but also we don't have it to help you out. We need you to have that info. We need you to fight for that info and get that clarity.
Sorry, I'm back again because I want to talk about last year and the hellhole it was. So basically, in chemistry, well, in the 4 years I've been at Lincoln Park High School, there has been at least 2 teachers who left and 1 teacher who had to leave because a personal problem came up in the kind of middle end of the year. Last year, my chemistry teacher that we were supposed to have left 2 weeks after the first year of school. I mean, after the first day of school, sorry. We did not have a chemistry teacher for 6 months. And this is the IB program. And this is honestly any program. If you don't have a teacher for 6 months, you cannot prepare for tests. You cannot prepare for courses. You're going to be behind. And it's really, really, really important in the IB program. You were talking about the fact that what can we do to help support you? But the fact that CPS couldn't even listen to you about a basic need of a chemistry teacher who was supposed to be there, the fact that students did not have a teacher for 6 months, and CPS did not listen to that, then I don't know what they can listen to. I don't know how we can advocate for something that important that should be a basic need. And also the classrooms and the scheduling, that is supposed to be a basic need provided by this school administration, and it's not happening. And I don't understand. I don't understand what more I can give when I already, sorry.
Hi, I'm Miss Kaler, Sandra Kaler. There are a couple of things that I want to touch on right now concerning Amy's comments. I want to make sure that we keep our eye on the ball here. It seemed to me that you were excusing Dr. Steinmiller, what has happened. Well, it's okay, you can say that. Hold on 1 second. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's not those positions. We agree that our students need support, but the choices that he has made in terms of release periods is he has to know coming in the numbers that we have and that those classes need to be 28 or whatever it is. It really has nothing to do with the decisions that we made. This isn't a CPS problem. This
we are focusing on Lincoln Park and our administration problem. And I don't want to muddy the waters with it. There are so many big problems. These are problems that this administration for 3 long years have created. And I hear my students in front of me, and I hear my fellow faculty in front of me. For 3 years, I took surveys. Teachers took time. They provided quantitative evidence. They provided qualitative evidence. And yet, it pretty much came down to Miss Kaler is so emotional that it's just coming from her voice. Of course I'm emotional. This is my school. These are my students. This is my faculty. The teachers can't do any more than they're doing. In 3 days, I got 67 responses of quantitative data, and yet we sit here again trying to find what caused it. We know what caused it.
We have 92 people watching online and they have their hands raised. And so I want to get to them before. We'll come right to you two afterwards. Oh. It's gonna go fast. Okay. So Mr. Baxter. Chris is gonna promote him. Okay.
Hi, my name is Christy Pinedo Pimentel. I'm a teacher at the school. That's actually my husband's name, really awkward. I should have signed him out. I just wanted to come on here and say that I've been at the school since November of 2020. And I believe that a really strong theme and feeling is just wanting more transparency and honesty in communication. The first week of school, one of our professional developments was about providing supports for our students and how can we hold our students accountable. And I think that's a lot of what we are hoping to have here as well. And recognizing that it's okay if I made a mistake to say, hey, I messed up and here's what we're going to do about it. And I apologize. So at multiple levels of where there have been different kinds of issues, and hopefully moving forward, if there are any issues, expressing that. So for example, I am the assessment coordinator at the school now. And if there is ever an issue, I want to make sure that I am holding myself accountable, apologizing and acknowledging if I did anything wrong, and then working with others to make sure that it doesn't happen again, and just to put some solutions in place and just being transparent about the process. There's nothing wrong with sharing this more information, and there's definitely nothing wrong with just saying we don't know. I also just wanted to make a point. I know that there have been a lot of conversations about decisions that were made by Dr. Steinmiller and the release periods for the staff. I know that, for example, I was in the language acquisition department, and some release periods are for our department chairs. And I want to be the voice to say that they work very, very, very hard for the teachers in their departments. They work tirelessly for us to advocate for what we need all year round, not just at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year when we're dealing with scheduling. And so just want to make sure that when we are talking about teachers with release periods, that we are remembering and acknowledging what some of those roles are and the reasons why people have release periods and why those decisions were made. Thank you all for listening.
So let's go back and forth. So we'll have an in-person and then we'll go back online again.
Hi, everybody. The shirt is not intentional. I just happen to wear it today, I swear. But I'm here to talk on behalf of myself, dance team, athletics, because Lascano is not here to talk on behalf of athletics, and that is a shame. I appreciate the LSC, Amy, Eden. You've answered every one of my emails, whether it's at 6 a.m. or 7 p.m. at night or 9 p.m. I appreciate that. But there are a lot of unanswered emails that have been happening as well from administration, which is very frustrating because I feel like I keep reaching out to try to help and to remind you that I'm here to help because I've been here with athletics for 4 years and nobody's responding to me. And that's very frustrating. I don't want to speak on behalf of Eric because I don't feel that's fair, but he did apply for the assistant principal position and was not even considered. We have an assistant principal over athletics that, as we have figured out in the past couple weeks, didn't know how to handle athletics. Things weren't getting done, things weren't getting turned in. And I had to call Eric myself and say, can you share this sheet with me? Can you forward me these emails? What needs to be done to make sure that football happens on Saturday? Why couldn't anybody call him and say, can you help us? He's still involved. That's very frustrating. I have a full-time job as a teacher. I've been here for 4 years. I was here during the dark times, student of what I call LP. And there's a reason that the teachers have left. I stayed on because I love my team and I love coaching these kids, and I can't let go of them, but there's a reason that we are leaving. There was a coach that resigned today and had a match today and should have been at their game with their athletes, but couldn't no longer take it. We are unorganized and we're continuing to reach out, but nobody's responding and it's frustrating. Again, I have a full-time job, I have a part-time job, and I coach on the side. This cannot be my full-time job as a coach. I can't be looking up football equipment. I can't be reaching out to Lane to see, can we use your facility because ours won't be open. I can't be sending emails to all the coaches asking for help from different schools. That's outside of the parameters of me as a coach, but I do it because I love these kids and I love this school. In my 4 years here, I've never had a reviewed full cycle ever. So if I go on Reflect and Learn, I'm still a first-year teacher and I'm in year 5 now. As far as planning these other events, I'm excited to bring spirit and pep back to this school. I thought the pep assembly could have been really great, but I found out about a pep assembly through my dancers showing me a screenshot of a newsletter. I followed up then by sending an email saying, what is a pep assembly and what do we need to do to be involved? No response. Followed up again and said, hey, this is happening in a week. What is going on? Still trying to figure out was the answer, which at least I got an answer. To come into the building yesterday after an all staff meeting when football coach wasn't here, the dance coach wasn't here, the cheer coach wasn't here, to cancel this pep assembly is a disservice to your athletes that we had to go then tell them the message without even getting the message ourselves. Band director didn't even know there was a pep assembly happening until I sent a follow-up email saying, what's happening on Friday morning? Cheer wasn't notified either of a pep assembly. I notified them. Again, I no longer work here. I cannot be the voice to get everybody involved at this school. I'm not here. So I need someone to step up or ask for help. I'm willing to help, but I'm not here anymore, y'all. And Eric isn't here. So we need to do something to be better for these kids, because it's not just academics that is failing right now. It's an LP problem. I'm not here. We don't have these problems. I used to think it was a CPS problem. I really did, because I didn't know anything else. This isn't a CPS problem. This is an LP problem. Thank you.
Mr. Hardesty, can you let Roberto speak? Oh, you need to unmute yourself.
Mr. Roberto, you should be able to speak.
Hi, Paula Yukovich. I'm the general music teacher here. This is my 16th year teaching, my 6th year here at LP. I have been here before through many other dark times with some of the members of the LSC. And I want to say thank you for being here. But I also want to preface my comments by saying that I apologize that I haven't been here sooner for some of the things that I'll say this evening. That I didn't come to you sooner, but there were things that kept me from doing it. When schedules came out that evening, I looked at my rosters and I saw that a student who had sexually assaulted me last year was in my class. And I understandably was upset by this. I was not the only teacher who was sexually assaulted by a student last year. And I waited for 10 days for the administration to acknowledge that that happened to me. My father passed away and I didn't have it in me to come to you and talk about this. But the things you're hearing this evening are symptoms of a sick school, of students who are in need and teachers who have undergone such trauma and not been seen or heard or told that they matter. I have my PhD. I've been teaching a long time and I know what I'm doing. I've worked under amazing administrators and I've worked under not so great administrators. But when you have a situation that continues to persist, from scheduling issues to space issues, what are you supposed to do when your students don't have enough desks and no one can tell you an answer? It is hurting students. We've had a lot of DP students stand up this evening, but we have regular ed students and double honors students who are in classes of 40 students. The other day I looked at a classroom and thought to myself, wow, I really like this class. And it's because it was a class of 32 and not a class of 40, because I can get to know those students just a little bit better. These are big problems. What has happened is not normal, but teachers believe that it is normal. Teachers who have been only in this environment believe that this is the way that they should be treated. Students believe this is the way school should be. And I understand the limited powers that you have, but you do have the power to speak up. You do have the power to call a reporter and talk about it if that's what you feel like, right? I don't care what you do, but something has to be done. It's not okay. What happened to me is not okay, and it happened to students. And the alarm bells were raised, right? But nothing happened. That is a failing. And the fact that we still have people who are in charge who haven't changed anything or done anything to protect teachers or students is disconcerting, to say the least. But I digress. I thank you so much for your time and for your energies and for being here tonight. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Roberto's back. Here he comes. Mr. Roberto, I think you can talk. Nope. Yep.
All right, I guess I'm back. Well, I didn't plan on coming back up, but thank you to Amelia. Thank you to the person who just went before me. I didn't catch her name, but thank you for your vulnerability. I really do appreciate that. I think that I was thinking about it, and it's like another frustration that I feel like hasn't really been talked about enough is that, first off, addressing something that we had talked about a little bit earlier was what can we do to help? Send out the surveys to teachers and have them send them out to us, because I guarantee you, not everyone's going to fill them out, but people will fill them out, because Everybody here cares at least a little bit enough to fill out the survey because we really do care about what's going on here. And one of my main issues with prioritizing is that I've met people at this school who work here that care more about those doors going off with the alarm than care about if I'm in the right fourth period or not. And that's not okay. That's not how we should be functioning. If we had one person in charge of all of this scheduling stuff, why couldn't we have been in this place where we're like, maybe we should have a backup just in case something goes wrong? It's just like teachers, we already know that these are things that are going to come up and we're going to talk about it. But when a student also has to come up here and voice those same struggles, you know it's a problem, because people who are here to get their education should not have to fight this hard to, like, you know, be in the right class. And like what was said earlier about IBT, like diploma program kids only being here, I have a lot of friends that aren't in this program that I've talked to that are also just as frustrated. But one of the other issues with that is that they also don't feel valued, because it's like, me myself, I wasn't even in the IB diploma program until like a little bit after the year started in junior year. I had to fight to get into the IB program because I had all the credentials to be in it. I did my part and I reached out and only got in when I had my mom intervene with Dr. Steinmiller. I know we keep doing this, but I had to say that. It's just like, this is not how we should work. We shouldn't have to fight this hard. It's like crazy. It's like, it's mind-boggling, because I don't want to like make this like this is your fault, because it's not. But there's so much more that we can be doing, because me personally, I've worked in a situation where I've been a teaching assistant. I've worked with administrators like this, and I know that the system is not right now. We've got to do better. We have to do better. Not for me, not for everyone else, but for the people that come after me, for the people that have already gone and are coming back now to say how they feel about it. This is just not okay all around. And, you know, once again, thank you for your time. And yeah, let's do better.
That's our last comment, other than Alexa. Oh, okay. Let's try Mr. Roberto again.
I'm extremely frustrated because why have I learned more in this one meeting in the past hour than I have at any other LSC meeting I've been to? And I've been on the board for what, a year now? It's extremely frustrating to hear this because there's no communication. And from the beginning, from the very first LSC meeting I attended, I was quiet, but I remember the first thing I said, your communication needs to get better. Nothing has improved, nothing. And I hate saying this because truly I've grown to love this school and the people that are in it. And I love my teachers, but it's hard to say that with a full heart because of what's been going on, especially for the past 2 years. And I've said this in multiple emails, multiple. And I also remember, like, when I was not on the LSC and I would send emails to administration, I would not get a response unless my parents got involved also, which just tells me that you are undermining the students and you don't care about the students, or at least that's what it feels like to me. And that's not respectful at all. And I don't find it respectful in any way. And I just want to thank the students for coming out because I know you guys are in my classes, so hi. And I want to thank the teachers because you guys truly do so much for us. And I feel like that's not being recognized, and that's not appreciated enough. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Miss O'Neill, Sandra O'Neill. I just want to say I love working here at LP. I love working with everybody. I can say pretty much everybody, even the admin, the teachers, everyone. I'm going to speak in just a couple of minutes here, but I want to give something positive before I say something else. I want to say that I can say something under Dr. Steinmiller's leadership. He says all students. It's not just IB, it's everyone. So, I mean, for me, and I have to say that it takes all of us. The ball was dropped. It hit the floor. But when we came here, no, it don't matter if they had a schedule or not. We're vets. We hit the floor running. Let's just pick the ball up, give our teachers what they need, whatever y'all need. And I have conflict sometimes, and we have issues in here. But I can say every teacher that I've worked with in this building, and you know who you are, if we have had any kind of commotions or any disagreements, you are great teachers. I can say that. If you never hear me say it, I can say it today. And also, Mrs. Moscato yesterday mentioned how teachers had all these release periods. You know what? If there was no schedules, Dr. Steinmiller, every teacher should be teaching. Everybody should be teaching. There was no IDs, no schedules. Everybody should be teaching. We hit the ground running. We have seekers. We are almost co-teaching in class, which is no problem. We have security who are getting kids in and out of class. Dr. Steinmiller say, Miss O'Neill, that kid need to get to class. He's not even my student. I say, okay, Dr. Steinmiller. So we are in these trenches together. Security the same way. The lunchroom staff are still giving meals out. We are all a part of this. Custodians, moving furniture. And I think the morale in this school, it's a problem. But Dr. Steinmiller, you all have time to fix this. I hope that you and Stuckey, Miss Walker and Theus, you all can fix this. It's a change, and change is hard, but they have to have schedules. They have to have IDs. I was with Mr. Stuckey today. We were doing IDs. I'm knocking at y'all doors, giving y'all posters for your room. Am I right, Mrs. Ragnanetti? You all see me. So hitting the ground running. Anything else, these kids, they need to know that we care about them when they hit the door. I don't care if they don't have one schedule. We clock in, we do the best that we can, and we go home. In the meantime, the cleanup gonna get done. The ball done failed. We need to pick it up. But I can say one thing about Dr. Steinmiller, I've been here since 2015. We need every student, not just certain students, certain colors, because we deal with it. I don't care if we change administration 20 times and they leave. And I hope they don't, because you have time to rectify it. You can change administrators, but we still gonna have a problem here at Lincoln Park High School because there is a culture, it's just a mess. And I'm an Afro-American woman. I don't care what kid I work with, what color they are, what nationality. Ask your children. You all at home, ask your children about Miss O'Neill. I don't care about any of that. So we all need to hit the ground running. If teachers not teaching, if you're in the office and I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what department heads do. But I know with no schedules and no ID, everybody should be hitting the ground running. Every one of us in this building. And I want to thank security too, because I can tell the difference in these hallways. And as far as social emotional for our young people, they need it. We need it. We all lost people during COVID. My daughter lost her father. You know how many people we all lost? And we still standing. And sometimes it's a prayer to be standing. And sometimes these kids make our day. So we need to make theirs. If they don't have a schedule, then take them outside, read a book until we get it. But we got to stop making excuses. So I'm going to be here. I joined LSC. I'm not a yes or a no person. I'm a true person. So again, I'm sorry to take up y'all time, but you all are very important. And I don't care if Miss O'Neill be somewhere 80 years old, you remember, you are somebody. I ran on that, and I'm gonna stay on LSC. And I'm not an in-between person. I'm yes or no. And Dr. Steinmiller, Mr. Stuckey, all of you all know I work with you all. Am I correct? You know, I'm a little hard, but I've had to be, because my life ain't been easy. And it's not gonna be easy when these young people leave this high school. So we can't make it that way for them. And that's all I got to say. And I'm gonna stay on LSC. I'm gonna hold all of us accountable, including myself. And if I can't hold myself responsible and accountable, I'm not gonna be on LSC. Thank you all.
Hi, everyone. I will be very, very brief. I'm Kelly Gosler. I'm one of the band directors here and also one of the department chairs. I just wanted to say two things very quickly. One is just, I want to just say it, no other people have, but it's about every kid at our school. It's not about a student in any particular program. Everyone is being touched by this in some capacity that is making their experience less than what it could be. The second thing is it's about every adult that is working in this school, every professional in this building. It doesn't matter what position they're in, including our administration. To fix the situation we're in, everybody's having to do extra, and it's taking us away from the primary duties of whatever our particular position might be. And that means something is being lost in that because we're trying to come together to fix the problem. We all do it willingly because we care about the school, every person that works here. But I am fearful of what is being lost, and I don't know how we're going to get our way out of it. And I know that's all we just want. Every person here is here because we want to solve this problem. And I just want to reiterate that there's so many people here, but what are we losing because we're trying to fix things that are not resolved? Students, teachers, everyone in this building. So thank you.
I just want to thank everybody's teacher. Can you hear me? Teachers and students for coming out today. And I'm going to commit us as an LSC to following up with what our next steps are, because I think a lot of times these meetings, people come, they share what they share, and then it's like, okay, so what? And I don't know what that's going to look like yet, because I can't think quite that quickly, but I want to commit that we are going to follow up with what our action steps are going to be to work towards solutions here. I hear the frustration. I have heard this frustration for years and years. I'm committed. I am actually the only person who's been on this LSC through what I guess we're calling we'll just leave it at that, what many of us experience. And I'm committed to seeing this through so we can have a stable school. I started here when my daughter was in second grade. She's now a sophomore at this school. So I'm as committed, if not more so now, than I was then, and I was pretty committed then. So that is my promise to all of you here. And I just ask that we all can try to continue to move the ball forward on this. I am passionate about the teachers at this school, the students at this school, who every time I hear them speak, I think they're absolutely incredible and amazing, and I'm inspired by them. So that is it, and I will turn.
I think at this point, the LSC really does have to, we have the data. It's been the third year. It's probably even worse this year than it's been in prior years. Teachers are moving the ball forward every day. There is not one teacher that ever gives up. We're here. What we say here with our frustration is not how we conduct ourselves in the classroom. We are professional. We support those kids. We're trying to teach, get every kid what they need. Today, the kids were in my class, and in a moment, schedule changed, not because it was any fault of their own, but because of this over scheduling issue, and tears started rolling down her face. And this happened numerous times in the last week and a half. This is not going to, I don't know how this is going to get corrected, but the teachers will show up every day. The teachers will teach. The kids will get what they want, but it is no longer the responsibility of teachers to run the school. At this point, the LSC has to act, and we need to decide what we're going to do.
right? No more, trying to put out fires, right? We're doing that every day for the last 3 years. So we got to make some decisions because the teachers are tired of surveys. And 67 of them, and this has been going on year after year. I'm embarrassed, frankly, as an LSC member. So we've got to do something here.
Okay, so we're going to let Dr. Steinmiller speak. Mr. Roberto, if you could just, there had been emails and surveys, and those will all go in the minutes. If you could just email me or the LSC with your comment, we will make sure that it is recorded. All right, Dr. Steinmiller. I'm really trying to get him to, I'm really trying to fix this. Got it. That's helpful. Okay. So hopefully he'll email. Okay, Dr. Steinmiller.
To start off, I want to thank everybody for being here, for you sharing your voice in this. Please know that I was listening to every word that you were saying. This is the last thing that I wanted to have happen this year. I intentionally put pieces in place so this would not be the case, and hiring a programmer specifically for it. And I'm not going to get into excuses about why we're at where we're at. And there are things that have to be done differently. And I know that's not going to make a difference in words. I met with all the teachers yesterday, and I wanted to express exactly how I felt about us being in this situation. Because when I was getting ready for this year, I'll tell you where my excitement was. It was let's get excitement up for our students. This will be the start to my 3rd year. First year was entirely basically remote, virtual. Last year was coming back into a space in which we were focused on COVID. And this is the year I was excited about starting the year off to focus on how do we a 6-year vision of support for our students? How are we engaging and eliminating some opportunity gaps between our students, like ways we've never done before? Starting the year off, focusing on social emotional learning by having our youth intervention specialists. I was not able to focus on that because we were focusing on programming. And that's not acceptable. It's not. Because instead of having meetings talking about the individual kids in your class yesterday, we were talking about programming. To have students change, that's the last thing I want from any of you, to have your schedules disrupted. And I've met with the 3 of you and I've expressed that to you individually, but all students, I don't want you being changed. I've had several teachers come to me directly, and I really appreciate those teachers who have shared their voice. One person specifically, I know their classroom. I know how they build community and culture within their room, and to have someone pulled from their room disrupts that. I deeply understand that. And so I am deeply sad and dedicated to make sure that this doesn't happen in the future. And I know I can say those words and it means nothing, and it shouldn't. So the things that we have to do about how we continue to move forward. I know the last week in getting all our students to make sure they had full schedules, it increased your class sizes. If I need to communicate differently, if it means I need them to stay after school every day to give you updates besides just the email, I will. It doesn't have to be an email format. We are focusing on leveling our classes. There are things that we will not be able to do that are outside our control, but I'm going to continue to communicate with those teachers on a regular basis so you know where we stand with it. When I hear back from the oversized committee and we make adjustments, I'll make sure those teachers are aware of what that looks like too. Again, these aren't excuses. What we have to do moving forward, and these are things I'm hearing from our teachers, I'm hearing from our students. This is the forum in which this space needs to know an update of where we are for programming every single month, not just January, February. When we are in December, it's how do we have our load for next January? When it's January, how are we starting our process? What does that look like? How is it loaded in? I've learned a lot in what I need to do differently to make sure I'm managing things differently. And I apologize to every single one of you. Like, we should be talking about so many other things, the wonderful things that have been going on, the impact our youth intervention specialists are having in the hallways already, the impact our security have been having daily, the shift in what that looks like, and the dedication to continue that moving forward. That's what we need to be talking about. And we're not, and it's not anyone's fault, but my job to make sure that that happens, it's mine. I've got to make sure there's a shift. So again, I appreciate every single one of you, students, parents, teachers. Know I am dedicated and care about you deeply. So moving forward, LSC, you will hear a report out. You will have a detailed update about where we are from programming moving forward every single month. We will make sure that we have all of our students scheduled prior to our budget. So when we say, this is where we are at with the budget, you know exactly where we stand. Because we'll have our sophomores, rising sophomores, juniors, seniors, we'll know what those class loads look like. And I don't want to we'll talk more about the details. We'll build out more of the plan and the communication. But again, all I can say to you is this is not what I want for any of you. And I value every single one of our teachers and students.
I'll just add here, in nowhere in this conversation have I heard anything about counselors. We're supposed to have counselors for the kids, or maybe you did talk about it, but I was seeing teachers modifying, helping modify schedules, and not the counselors helping to help the students. So I don't know where the counselors stand here, but
I'm going to defend our counselors and I apologize, that's not been communicated. Our counselors worked they stepped up. Our new programmer who joined us, she stepped up. We hired a new programmer, Ms. Burstein. She's been doing an amazing job from day one. Amazing job from day one. And our counselors have been working by her side with me to make sure I'm sorry for the intensity, but this is not on the counselors at all. They have been doing nothing to make sure that within a week, we've gotten down to where 4 students had complete schedules. That was dedicated work. And I just need to make sure that was clear. And in my statement before, you didn't hear that. I just need to make sure the LSC knows this has nothing to do with our counselors, nothing to do with our new programmer. They're the reason we're in a space in which our students have full schedules. So I just need to make sure that that's very clear that they did an amazing job. Sorry, I just need to make sure that was clear.
They have, the counselors have been having to attempt to clean up the mess. And when we say that students have schedules, they're not correct schedules. And that is the issue, right? So let's just make sure that when we say kids have schedules, that they're not correct schedules. I have never in my 23 years here seen the counselors' offices have for a week and a half, what do you say? What are they called? An easel that says, students, you can't come and talk to us because we have to deal with programming. So for a week and a half, and they're still there, still not. And it's not because the counselors don't want to see the kids and counsel. It's because they're having to clean up the mess. So they were barred from going in there, kids. So yes, absolutely. The counselors have been doing the mess that we are in again.